my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Monday show where we talk about the hottest Silver Age comics of the week. And I'm joined with my good friend Mark Olerite from Suddenly Comics from overseas, and we're going to be looking at some pretty cool books. I think this is a fun list. I try to make it a little bit more fun. Some, usual suspects, but mostly new stuff. A lot of new stuff because I was like, the auction that happened on Heritage was actually pretty good in terms of variety. It had a lot more variety that, wasn't the same old, same old. So I kind of wanted to include that variety on this list.
Good.
So, yeah, so it should be a fun list.
Okay, let's show the screen. Just find the right thing. And we are starting with, here we go.
So, yeah, I don't know. To me, this one seemed a bit cheap when I saw this one. This is the first appearance of the Jetsons. This is Jetsons #1. And, I was a big fan of the Jetsons. I'm not sure if you watched the Jetsons as a kid, but I really enjoyed the Jetsons. I always thought they were cool. And this is a low grade. It's like a 3.5, but still, it's a major key in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we got the Jetson cartoon in the UK. But I did occasionally see the comic and I really liked it. I like
Mhm.
the concept of, I quite like the sort of wacky, this is what life in the future is going to be like, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
With flying chairs like this.
You know, I think this kind of uh, way of thinking of the future is so much better than the current way of thinking. Very dark way of thinking nowadays. Everyone's very like the future is very pessimistic. Oh, we're
Oh,
going to be
yes.
taken over by AI. We're gonna, there's going to be some climate crisis. This was a very positive vision of the future
Oh, this was
where we're
very
gonna,
much, this is very much how science is going to change our lives in the future
and for the better.
for the better. Yeah.
And there is like, some, not dystopian, but there's some cuteness to it that they kind of make fun of certain things in our society where um, George Jetson does have a job in the future, okay? But his job is literally he's the guy that pushes the button that gets everything started on a daily basis. That's all he does. He just pushes one button,
Presses the on
everything
button.
starts. Yeah, the on button. That's his job. That's his job. And then he's like, "Oh man, that was whew, whew, what a tiring day." you know, but so there is that humor that life is so easy in the future and life is good. I like the Jetsons. I thought they were a great show. And to me, this is a bit of that American history that needs to be collected, right?
Yeah, I
So,
agree. I don't think this is a really quite a nice price, 169. I mean, it is a lowish grade.
mhm.
169. It seems a reasonable price to me. Let's have a look. Oh, this has been going
I,
down.
I thought this was a low price. When I saw it, I thought it was a low price because I remember this being a fairly expensive book, like 300-400 for this kind of grade.
Yeah, I mean, the first sale of this on the chart here was from March 2023, which was post-COVID,
Yep.
and at 425. And then
Yeah.
a year later, we're down at 169.
I think it was just a steal personally. I'm not sure. What are the other
Well, the
sales
two
kind of
previous,
nearby?
this sale here was two ten, and then this sale here 225. So maybe this one was maybe this
Overpriced?
higher.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it made a hot list or something at one time, and then it's kind of jumped up. I don't know what it looked like before that initial point.
Yeah.
Um, probably what happened was there was a big sale in a higher grade, and then people said, "Oh, okay, we might as well get this book graded." And then all of a sudden, you see these lower grades
Oh,
making the
look here.
list,
Yes, there's a big sale on the 90, I suspect.
and that probably got people grading it. So,
Yeah.
that's why the list only
There's a 90
starts.
that sold for nearly $5,000 here.
Yeah. What people don't realize about these kind of comics is finding them in high grade because they're kids' books is almost impossible. Um, they're they're just ghosts because these were books that were meant to be read by little kids, and that was not a good combination for survival. So usually those high grades go for like many times what
The
the
lower
per
grade.
point, yeah, the per
Yeah.
point value would suggest.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think people started getting them graded and thinking that they could cash in on that, and it might have corrected, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got a total of 177 on the census.
Yeah.
So it's quite a low census count.
But there's a site where you can actually check the censuses. I bet you after that 9.0 sale, there was probably a lot that were graded.
Yeah.
It probably was even lower census count before that.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, now we're seeing that kind of correction where the lower grades are getting more of a proper value, maybe. But I still see this as a steal. I think it is should be more valuable personally. I really love the Jetsons, so a bit biased. Bit biased.
Second on the list. Oh, this is interesting. This is a Captain America number 115. Is there anything
Hmm.
special about this in a CBCS
It,
9.6?
I feel like it's something with the cube, cosmic cube.
It just says Red Skull cover and appearance and a Yellow Jacket cameo, so nothing particularly special about it.
Nothing special. I always thought this was a cool cover. Whenever I see this book, I always feel like it's a key. I don't know why. I just whenever I see it, I think it's a cool cover and it should be a key just based on the coolness
Cover.
of it. Um,
It works, Alan. Yeah,
but
it's a
I
nice
thought
cover.
this was, this is a high grade and it also sold for a fair amount of money
Yeah,
for an on key, I guess.
yeah, for non-key.
There's certain books that, like you feel like they should be keys. Like there's a bunch of Spider-Man ones that have kind of cool covers. I'm like, oh, whenever I see them, I'm like, oh, this is the key. I'm positive this is the key. And then I look it up and that's totally not a key. This is, I
Yeah,
guess, that book
I
for
mean,
me.
there's a lot of comics which are great covers and not keys, and actually the value is from
Has
the cover.
gone up. Yeah, yeah.
This is one where I think it is the cover that's great, but it's not a key. However, 312 for a 9.6 does sound reasonably cheap. It's not bad. It's a rate. Is it
It's
a
actually,
record?
is it a record?
The record, yeah. Yeah, record.
Nice. But one thing, we saw this last week, where we saw books that have like these new records, but they never had any COVID
No, this had
price.
no COVID sales, Alan. So the
Yeah.
previous sale here was 2018 pre-COVID, and then the next sale's after COVID. So we got no COVID blip in here.
Yeah, and I like these ones because you can see what the trajectory would have been if there wasn't this weird situation that happened. Um, I can't imagine there being that many of these 9.6s anyways. It,
630.
six,
630 is the census.
yeah.
This is CBCS. So
Okay, so actually that might be even more. So more of a thing where so this is the
do you want me to
CBS.
see what the CGC price is?
Yeah, I'd like to see what the
9.6?
price is. This is one of those things where sometimes the
Oh, it's a
CGC is
lot
like,
higher on. It's a lot higher on
is
CG.
it like,
So
but
the
look,
last one on CGC sold for 486, which is quite a lot more from 310, isn't it? 170 more. So at least 50% more for the CGC here.
yeah, I mean that's kind of brutal. Usually it's 20% more, but so maybe this is not the strong sale that it looks like, even though it's a record. Do you
It's
know
a
what I mean?
record CBCS sale.
Yeah. But
I mean,
actually, here's a way,
on this basis, with that sort of dollar difference, you should definitely take your CBCS slab and
and regrade it.
get it re-put into a CGC banana slab and get it nicely bent.
So one of the things I'd be curious about is let's compare that 218 sale, 2018 sale. Is it still 50% more?
What are you talking about?
So we don't have a COVID one to compare, right? But
No.
we have the 2018 sale for
Right. Okay.
CBCS.
Oh, right. Okay. So I have to go back a bit on this chart here.
I love making you do a little bit of work
So
here.
yes, thank you for making me work hard. September 2018, the CGC price was 274. Right. So let's go back to
274. Okay.
274. Keep that number in your head. And the uh and it was 256 on CBCS. So the difference was minimal.
Yeah. So my thought is actually this sale that we're looking at is actually not, well, it is a record, but it's only a record because we don't have any recent sales to compare it with.
Yeah.
It probably is actually down by 20%
Yeah.
or 30, whatever that difference is normally. As I said, it's normally about 20% difference with CGC and CBCS.
Yeah.
So it could be that this is actually a low sale for CBCS even.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you'd
But
think so. If the CGC is going for 470 and 312 sounds there's too big a difference there. It shouldn't be that.
yeah, yeah. So that's my point. So this was actually a bit of a drop, even though it's a record sale.
Yeah, so whoever bought this, go send it off to CGC
And
and get
maybe you can get extra 20%,
yeah,
30%.
and some special bending in your comic. Right. This
Okay.
is a great cover.
I always love wedding covers.
When here we go, we've got a wedding cover. Batman regularly gets married and never ends up with a wife.
It's something always happens on the wedding. It's a thing.
Oh, and poor old Robin. Look, this is his best buddy has got married and he's worried he's going to be ignored now. Look. Oh,
Hmm. Poor little Robin. So Robin will sabotage the wedding. He'll probably like bump her off or something. Um, so yeah, but this I love these are classic covers in my opinion. Whenever there's a wedding,
I have got this in a something like I think my copy is about a zero point 0.5, I think.
yeah, I think I have a copy of this in a low grade too. This,
Right. So nice comic. 408 sounds cheap.
yeah, it sounds well, but it's DC.
It-
I don't know. Whenever I see DC, I have high expectations, but then I really shouldn't.
let's have a look.
What a
Ooh,
crazy chart that
what
is,
an
by the way.
amazingly strange chart.
Yeah, it's like up, down, up, down. It's like kind of like going at a weird angle.
Uh, well, it's up on the last sale.
Up on the last sale, but there's a peak that looks earlier that
There's a peak here in 2017. This is
actually go by the line under it.
well,
There's like
well,
that
okay.
one, yeah.
Well, 560 in 2017.
So it's down from 2016.
Yeah, which is odd.
Hmm. I mean, that's definitely pre-COVID. So there's no COVID excuse that you can make. Oh, this book is down because it's
Yeah.
correcting. But I don't know.
Mm,
Just not a good performing one.
no, and Batman,
I think Robin is putting his foot on the scale and trying to prevent this book from being worth anything.
yeah, he doesn't want us to know about it. 168 on the census, low for a Batman.
Really, it's low census and such a cool book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, to me, seems like a bit of a steal.
I think so. I think it is. Uh,
Huh,
yeah, I think that is a bit of a steal. An underappreciated book, I think.
yeah,
Right, interesting. What on earth is this?
I, I I I actually bid on this one, strangely.
Okay.
Just because I thought it was so weird. I had no idea what it was,
It's a
and
Charlton
so I was
romance.
tracking it. And then when it had this big sale, I was like, "Oh my goodness, what's going on? What is this
Right.
book, and why
Well,
is it so valuable?"
It's a Charlton romance comic, I think.
Yeah, intimate.
Is it romance or is it
I think it's
is
yeah, it
it
looks romance. Just
family
no,
or
it looks romance based on like something. Why they make why do they make me feel
he had
ashamed?
an illegitimate baby?
It looks like it based on just kind of a crazy book, right?
It's a one-off because I checked it. I thought I'd never heard of this title.
Me either. I've never
So I
heard of
went
this
to
book.
go. I looked up on Go Collect to see what if there was any more in the series, and there's no more.
Mhm.
There isn't. So this is a one-off,
Yeah.
as was The Child. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
Charles Nicholas and Vince doesn't say very much about it.
Yeah, I just thought it was such an oddball. Does Heritage Auction
Now
listing say
somebody has
anything about
written
it?
Anna on the cover here. Do you think somebody's written that on, or do you think it's printed on?
That's written on, obviously.
Yeah. So somebody,
Um,
do you think Anna is the person who owned it, or is it?
I think so. I think so. This is Anna pedigree. So what does the Heritage Auction
So what?
description say about
Hang
it?
on, Alan. How much did you bid on this?
Oh, only 100.
Oh, okay.
I
No
didn't go
idea.
crazy or anything. I
No idea.
just wanted, I thought, it was one of those ones that shot up on the actual auction day. So I
Yeah.
didn't, I just, I thought maybe it'd be cool.
Well,
Yeah, at $100, I thought it'd be cool.
okay. I don't. I'm not sure how many sales of this is ever going to.
But wait. But go back just quickly to the Heritage Auction description. I'm just curious if they said anything about it.
Charles Nicholas and Vince Alasia cover and art Overstreet 2024 fine six $120. So this is done significantly better than the Overstreet's price
Overstreet.
guide.
Well, that doesn't really mean that much, but sure. Okay.
Well, you
We'll
that's
pretend
around
it.
what you bid. So
I bid, yeah, yeah. I thought maybe, if I win, I'm not gonna throw it away. So yeah. So okay, so how has this book performed?
well, it's the only sale, Alan.
Okay, so how about okay, so let's look at the full census. Let's see what else is
Yeah,
going on
let's look
here.
at all 12 copies.
Yeah, I mean there must be other sales.
Well, let's have a look. There's been five sales. This one at 528 for an 8.5. A 3.5 also sold this year for 104, which is in line, isn't it?
Yeah. So the well, this is almost as much as the 8.0 sale.
Well,
I mean
no,
this
the 8.5 just sold for 528.
I know, but this was how much was this one? I thought it was like 500.
No, that's this one.
No. The sale that we were looking at.
It's this one. It's 8.5. Oh, no, that's a 5.5. Oh, no, I was at
5.5.
5.5. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so that 5.5 has sold as higher level as this 8.5.
That's my point.
Oh, I thought, oh, yeah, gosh, right, okay. So
That's
this
a
is a
very
pretty
strong
good
sale.
price.
So I
That's
think my estimate of the price was actually probably pretty accurate. Like the 100 maybe 120,
no, because the
$130.
3.5 sold for 100. You're not going to get a
Well,
5.5.
I'm cheap, so that's my thing. I don't know. I
Alan,
don't know.
I'm sorry, your estimate of $150 was way off.
Yeah, but I'm just surprised that it went for how the amount that it did. This is one of those ones I think people bid on it. There was probably a bit of
Yeah, but if
FOMO
this is
going on.
about an illegitimate child in 1957, it's a piece of social history.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of cool,
Yeah,
I think. There's only 13 copies, or 12 copies, I should
yeah,
say.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean it's rare.
This is the type of one you're going to find in a lot of comics people are just thrown together because they think they're worth nothing.
Yeah, I mean this is one of those ones that's hard to research too,
Yeah,
because it just hasn't really established that many sales. It's
no,
probably fairly rare.
yeah.
It's you know, it's one that most people would even think about. It doesn't look like much. It's like but yeah, I just thought it was interesting.
Okay.
Is that
Oh,
it? Is that five or is that this is the fifth?
this is the fifth.
Okay.
And it's a romance. This one is a romance comic, not an
This
illicit.
is definitely a romance comic.
It's a
Secret Story.
secret story, number 20.
Just a
Baker,
oddball issue.
Matt Baker, and J. Scott Pike art, but he's not on the cover. The cover is Vince Coletta again.
Yeah. So Matt Baker did a lot of interior stuff as well, right? So
Yeah.
Um, what's funny is if this was put up on eBay, they would say Matt Baker. They wouldn't say Matt Baker art. They would say Matt Baker art. They wouldn't say cover, but they would say Matt Baker art, and that would just drive the price up crazy. Um, but I mean, it is actually a kind of well done cover. The
Yeah.
typical trope of the three people thing, where you got
Yeah.
the couple and you got the woman who's like spurned in the background. Um, so yeah, so 720 for an 8.0.
Yeah, that's quite pricey for these romance comics.
That's what I thought too. For a Silver Age romance comic,
Yeah, that's quite pricey, even for an 8.0.
yeah,
Then I'm afraid that's the only one. You
only
keep picking
sale.
ones with this is the only one.
Well, okay, we
Let's
let's
go in. Let's
compare
go
it to
into
other
the
sales. Yeah.
overview. It's also the highest graded.
Oh, okay, that does make a difference.
There's only ever
Only
been.
sale, highest graded. What was the nearest one
Well,
to
hang
it?
on. A 6.0 sold for 312 in August. All these sales are in. There was two sales in August this year, and then the previous one was 5 years ago. Seven,
Yeah,
6 years ago, a 5.0 sold for $85. So it
I would
showed
say
you
this
how.
is in line.
Sorry?
I would say this price is in line with the 6.0 price.
Yes, yeah, yeah. With the 6.5 price, it is, yes.
Yeah, 6.5.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically double, which
But
is
it
what
does
you'd
show
kind of
that
expect.
these romance comics have taken off since 2018.
Yeah, I mean, I've been noticing a lot more interest. Maybe I feel like I'm having an influence on the market actually, because I keep on going on about them. I mean, even this list right now, I put two of the books that are on the list are romance books. Because I actually do
And
think,
last week, Alan, we had two romance books last week as well.
oh my goodness. So I think I'm thinking about romance books, and I've been collecting romance books. So I think there is like not just me, but I think other people have been sort of gravitating to them as well because um, they were sort of undervalued for a really long time,
Yeah.
and they're once people kind of discover them, they realize, hey, wait, these some of these stories are kind of crazy stories, like, and they have some pretty amazing artists in them as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
So
I mean, look at this
um,
one over here. Just my eyes just drawn to this one.
is
Uh,
that I think that's Pike, isn't it?
oh, yeah, that's a nice cover. So,
Isn't that the guy that did Dolphin?
yeah, he doesn't say, it just says publisher
J. Scott Pike.
unknown age, and it's got no details.
Yeah, it looks like a J. Scott Pike cover.
Okay. Right. Okay.
So
So
yeah, some cool stuff.
yeah, some nice comics there, Alan.
Okay, so I try to make I try to make it interesting. Not always Spider-Man and you know
Well, except when it's
Avengers.
my turn.
Your turn, it's going to be all like ASM one, a whole bunch of stuff. It's just going to be the typical stuff. Not even worth going over and seeing. No, I was just joking. There's some good ones still left.
Yeah,
Pricey
if you
books
if you haven't if you're missing your weekly fix of
of
Amazing
arachnids.
Spider-Man issue 1, then pop over to my channel and I'll sort you out with a little tab of Amazing Spider-Man just to keep you going for another week.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you need that, I think. Yeah, no, but there's other cool books on your list. So I did, you always get the biggest books. It's like the cheap books are on my channel, the big books are on your channel.
I know,
You
but I
get the
never
better
get
hit.
I never get the Jetsons and the love story and the
Well, if there's a record sale for a Jetsons book, I'll definitely put it on your list. Okay.
right.
So go over to Mark's channel, check it out. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye for now.